Fellow nerds, we are talking Invincible Season 2, Episode 2. In about 6 hours, I lose my virginity to a fish. Which
Uh,
was a good episode.
it
Yeah,
was.
just nothing really stood out. Like I watched it a second time today, and I'm waiting for some big moment to kind of anchor the show to. And it just never came. So it must have been just like a setup episode for other things coming down the line.
To me, this was a character development episode. That's what I took away from it. So we were able to get, scenes where Mark was basically coming to terms with everything that had happened, but also he's deciding to finally start making decisions on his own to actually be a hero. Even when Cecil tells him, "No, you need to get away from there. You need to get out." Invincible is like, no, man, I got to live up to my name, and I've got to do right. I've got to do what my father wouldn't do." And I liked that for him. Also, I really liked the fact that Eve had kind of a sort of realization moment that even though she in this world is essentially like, you know, another version of Dr. Manhattan with her kind of powers where she can literally create anything out of anything. She can manipulate physics. She's still not so powerful that she can, completely she needs to pay better attention to what she's doing. And I like the fact that she thought she could just wave her hand and magic away all these problems, only to realize that there's cause and effect, you know?
Yeah, that scene was really well done when she's like, it was so nice seeing her build that park for
Yeah.
that family and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And then when her dad's like, yeah, that park collapsed. The reason they never built on it is because it was unstable or whatever. I was like,
Mhm.
oh man. But that is a good character
Really
building.
got hurt.
Adam Eve
Yeah.
will definitely grow from this and kind of hopefully understand what she can and what she should do with her powers and what she shouldn't do. We also got the Atlanteans.
Yeah. I like their version of Atlanteans.
I did too.
And by the way, the queen was Tatiana Maslany.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Just learned that today as well.
Yep.
She-Hulk, in case people didn't know.
I loved how Cecil's like, oh, you just gotta marry her. It's just all in thing or whatever. And he's like, oh,
Right.
she's like, what do you think we
What?
are? Barbaric? Trial by combat.
Yeah.
Right. That was good. One thing that I did notice, so they didn't tease us with saying the name Invincible this time around, but what I did notice is now all of the screen that went completely black from, I assume, being covered completely in blood, it's now starting to crack away and reveal some of the blue underneath again.
Yep.
And I like that, and I assume that that's what we're going to finally see at the end of the season, the entire Invincible screen with the background in all blue again. Only to be in season 3 covered completely in blood again.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We even got to see scenes with Mark and his mom. His mom is obviously struggling with all that happened. They didn't overdo it. They didn't, like overemphasize it. I did love the scene. Oh, what was the guy's name? She's like, how is he back or whatever when she went.
Oh, yeah.
Doug. His name's Doug, right?
Huh?
I believe his name is Doug.
No, not Doug. Shoot, what is his name now?
Donald.
Donald. That's
Donald. That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so, because he's like, wait, why is she being weird about it or whatever?
I assume they're doing the same thing in the show that they did in the comics. In the comics, he's a robot. He gets rebuilt, and then his consciousness transferred over into this new robotic body. And in fact, every version of Donald is and always has been a robot that thinks it's a human. But
That
each one
makes
has
sense.
no idea when the last one died.
So is that what you're saying? We haven't been shown that Donald is a robot on the show.
I don't know if they're going that route on the show or if they're going to do like a clone thing.
Yeah, if you guys ever watched that movie I mentioned a while ago, Moon,
Not yet.
it's with he's a really good actor. Sam Rockwell. That's what basically that movie is. When he dies, his
Mm-hmm.
clone comes out and it has all the same, training
Yes.
and yes, and all the same ideas, and it doesn't know there was another clone before them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a clever
So
B story.
I assume they're doing the same kind of thing where they're either going to do the robot thing or it's going to be a clone. I think it's going to be one or the other.
Hopefully
I'm
they do
thinking
the
clone.
robot.
Yeah. Do the
Or
robot.
they grabbed him from another dimension because of Angstrom.
Yeah, really go all multiverse with it.
Well, and it was nice. Really, the only multiverse we got in this entire episode was the end with
Yes,
the
where he's confronting an Invincible that actually got caught.
Yeah, and at first that blew my mind. I'm like, wait, what? You had to pay attention to realize, and I didn't realize it was another dimension until I don't know what Cecil's name was when they got to that
Oh, the
dimension.
female Cecil.
Yeah, but I saw the scar and I was like, oh, this is a parallel dimension. That is.
and then we got Angstrom. What did you call him earlier, Dave?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I can't remember now.
But I like that. This episode was slower paced. I certainly didn't mind it. I think they did some good character development with a multitude of characters. They're putting stuff in place. They don't feel like they have to beat you over the head with the multiverse stuff, but we did get that little scene where Angstrom is like finding out. He needs to find out what is, the Viltrumite's weakness because he needs to, take out Invincible and Omni-Man in his own universe. So I thought it was nice. They gave us a little tease at the end. Obviously, we're still doing this season. Don't worry. We had to take care of some other business here, but obviously probably wasn't as good as the first episode of the season, but it was still good.
I think my favorite part of this whole episode was his fight against not Professor, because
Dr. Seismic?
Doc Seismic, yes. I think that was my favorite part of this episode because like he's like obviously to Doc Seismic he considers this, oh, this is like my arch enemy, and to Invincible he's like, I fight like a dozen of you every week. It's like, what is your name again? Professor? No, I don't teach. I like how they're sort of like talking with each other, and you would think like they would be perfectly cordial with each other if they weren't, if one wasn't an evil supervillain.
I did like that. Yeah, I'm not a professor. I don't teach.
Right.
Yeah, I like how they're like so cordial, like when they're not fighting, and then I'm just gonna have to bring you in, All right,
now,
you guys stop messing around.
were you guys getting hints or a little bit of a nostalgia from Amazing Spider-Man 2 in that opening scene?
In the opening scene.
Yeah, so when he was fighting Doc Seismic, he was late for his graduation. And that was the same way that Amazing Spider-Man 2 opened.
I didn't remember that, so thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, because
I do remember. Bad movies stick in my brain a lot more than I don't know why.
His favorite movie is Amazing Spider-Man 2, so
ugh, yuck.
We all
the
know.
Rhino is my favorite part.
I hate the beginning of that movie so much because of the way that it played out. I think I'm going to tangent just real briefly because I want to say my piece about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, hit the button.
Go for it.
Brief tangent about Amazing Spider-Man 2. It had potential. It could have been good. I thought that Amazing Spider-Man 1 was pretty darn good. I thought that Andrew Garfield did a pretty decent job. He was a different take on Peter, and I know that a lot of people complained about it, but I think it was nice because it was a little different from the way that Tobey Maguire, thank you.
Bully
the way
Maguire.
that Tobey Maguire played it, where he was like one, giant nerd. I like the fact that we had a bit of a more socially awkward Peter. But the way that they opened Amazing Spider-Man 2, boy, did that set a bad precedent. Like, that gave you that taste in your mouth that you knew the rest of this movie was not going to be good. And it kept doing, somersaults down a hill hitting every rock along the way, and I kept waiting for it to get better, and it didn't.
Is
But it
it
had potential.
worse, better or worse than Wonder Woman 84?
Better. I think I was more angry at Wonder Woman 84 because Wonder Woman 84, there wasn't really anything redeemable about it. At least Amazing Spider-Man 2, they've got there are a few scenes here and there where it's semi-watchable. Like when you see Peter doing his science thing, trying to figure out a way to defeat Electro, and he's creating new web slingers. I like that. I like seeing them show that scientific side of Peter Parker, because they didn't really do that enough in the first movie. They mostly had him like stealing tech from Oscorp, which was kind of crappy. And so I did like the fact that they gave us a couple of scenes showing that in this movie. Whereas Wonder Woman 84, they gave us a lot of scenes that led to nothing, and a lot of other scenes that continued to lead to nothing and also made no sense. And Mr. Handsome, I feel so bad for that guy. You know he lost his job, right?
He did.
Yeah, but another guy in that movie, as long as we're tangenting, another guy had a big announcement this week. Are we gonna? Nah, I'll save that for later. That's part of our news, the
Okay.
Pedro Pascal news.
Yeah, that's definitely not tangent time talk.
No.
Save that for later.
Yeah.
You
No,
don't know it,
I think Wonder Woman 84 is worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I would probably agree with that, because outside of some of the scenes and how dirty they did Jamie Foxx with his Electro character, there was some good parts of it. I liked Amazing Spider-Man 1 too. I thought they did a good job with the story. I'm glad they used the lizard. I thought all that worked really well. And then this one was so disappointing. It was very much like Wonder Woman. The first one was good, and then you're kind of disappointed by the second one. Only more disappointed by 84.
Yeah, I think we all had a lot higher expectations for 84.
We really did.
After,
we all really
especially
did.
after the first Wonder Woman was so good.
I want to say, didn't we put out like two or three different videos? We put out we did a trailer review, and then I know we did I think we did a What's Next or a Theory Palooza for Wonder Woman.
Yep,
so because we really did think it was going to be good. You know, the trailers looked pretty good. It kept us guessing. We're like, oh, are they going to go with the Wish Stone? Wow, okay, that's daring. That's some cool comic book stuff.
And it's got Pedro in it, and you know,
we like him. We just saw The Mandalorian season 1. Great stuff.
And
we definitely stand Pedro Pascal.
I tried to like him in that movie, and I couldn't even do that.
I blame the director. She wasted his talent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she seems like a hit and miss kind of director. She has some really good movies and some really bad ones.
And she's no longer directing. Oh, sorry. Oh my God, she's no longer directing Rogue Squadron for Lucasfilm.
That is true. Possibly for the best.
Probably.
Although I guess I was never really super looking forward to Rogue Squadron anyway.
It was one of those, like, I've read a lot of the Rogue Squadron books. Some of them were pretty good. None of them were terrible. Some of them were average. Some of them were really good. And I was like, man, if they could capture that feel of the books, that was, this elite squadron, that goes in and takes missions no one else can, complete, and have it like that, it could be pretty good. But I don't know if I trust Lucasfilm to do that at this point.
No, probably not.
Sadly.
Well, I think we have tangented just long enough. Should we cycle back to Instagram? Oh my God. Should we cycle back to Invincible?
Yes, we should.
Ah.
But I mean, overall,
this gentleman not fired me yet.
You do good title cards.
We can't.
I mean, overall, this episode, it was character building. Well, I'm not going to use the F word about it, because I don't think it was that way. You know, it did a really good job with a lot of the interpersonal relationships. You know, we got Doc Seismic, we got what's this? I almost called him Nightwing, Darkwing,
Oh yeah, that's right.
Darkwing
Darkwing
too.
in the Eternal City. I almost forgot about that because it was like a blink and you miss it kind of thing.
You know,
Yeah, 'cause it was only
So
like two
comic
scenes.
booky.
Yeah.
building towards something in the future. You know, obviously the first Darkwing is gone, and this is a sidekick, and you know, there's some things they can
Oh,
build
hey,
on later. If
we
they
don't
want to.
use that term.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. I forgot he said that.
Assistant.
But you know, even you know, we talked about the kaiju that Mark had to fight. You know,
Mhm.
even after, you know, he really showed kind of his hero tendencies coming out when he could
He
have
did.
fled and Cecil was telling him to leave, but because the monster had gotten out of his chains and was killing Atlanteans, he went back to save them when he didn't have to. They did
Did.
nothing to help him, but he did the right thing and went back and saved it. So it was nice kind of seeing him making the right decision no matter who's chirping in his ear.
How'd you like Cecil going all Amanda Wallace and hey, find out the frequency of that sonar so we can keep it for later. I'm like, oh, now we know that kryptonite hurts Superman kind of stuff.
Yep, that was very Batman or Justice League Doom, where Batman
Mhm.
has all the stuff he needs on how to take out any of the other members in case they
Yep.
go rogue.
Yep. I
And her
mean,
name's
on
Amanda
one
Waller,
hand,
not Amanda
I get
Wallace.
it. I get after having half your planet decimated by the dude's dad. I get why you would want something like that, but at the same time, it's like he keeps looking at Mark, waiting for him to turn.
And he didn't, you
I
know,
don't
destroy
think
half
it
the
is.
planet. You know, he really only destroyed Chicago. Aren't we all better off without? No, I'm just kidding. I love Chicago.
Hey, slow
Oh
down
no, all
there.
of our
You
Chicago fans left.
just relax.
No, I love Chicago. Chicago is a great town. But I mean, should we probably rate this now? I don't know if we have much more to say. There, you know.
Yeah, because it didn't really, it didn't really have a lot to say on this episode. We've already covered it in a short amount of
Yeah.
time we've talked about it. So overall, this episode, if I have to start, I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a
Okay.
6. I mean, I'll still watch it as part of the whole season. Maybe I look back later and say, oh, well, that was setting all this other stuff up. That's what I'm hoping for. What do you think, Doug?
I'm gonna give it a 7. I was entertained. Yeah, I agree. It was definitely a bit of a setup episode. It was mostly there to help develop our characters and sort of move the story along in a way, but not really. It was moving each of the individual characters' stories along, not the overarching story, because we didn't really go anywhere with the Galactic Alliance or whatever it is that they call it. We didn't hear any new news about that. We got the was the Martian Man, was that this episode or the first one?
Yep.
The
No,
sh-
that was this episode.
yeah.
That was this episode. Okay. I will give it this. It seemed like there was a lot of plot points and it did feel a lot longer. Like it felt like I was like I was surprised, but in a good way, that it kept going. They didn't just stop. They're like, look, we want to put out as much information. We want to develop as many characters and move their individual stories as much as possible. And so they gave each character, I'd say each character got their little time to shine. We got a little bit of time with Eve. We got some time with Invincible. We got some time with the new Guardians. And like, what is up with duplicate and showers, man?
Oh my God.
What is? Uh,
Hey, baby, I know that sound.
and I just I don't fully get her coupling with the Immortal Man. He's billions of years old. That's a little weird to me.
Well, I mean, he's never gonna find anyone else billions of years old, so
Okay, fair.
gotta do what he can. But for her,
Yeah,
she likes experience.
I guess so. But yeah, so It was fine. It was entertaining. It wasn't anything like spectacular. It wasn't as like mind blowing as the first episode, and it certainly wasn't like on par with the final couple of episodes of season one or anything like that. But I think it did its job, and I'm looking forward to seeing these characters continue to move forward and seeing how it helps develop the overall story.
Yeah, I agree with both of you gentlemen. I mean, it was a good episode. It wasn't great. I think, this is going to be setting stuff up for multiple characters down the line. We'll see it develop over the season. I think the only thing that was my big gripe with it is, and it's probably more on me than anything else, I kept waiting for that last 5 minutes of episode one. I'm like, oh, okay, I know you, and then we never got it, which didn't make the episode bad in any way, but because I came to expect
You
it,
had
I missed
expectations.
it. Yeah, and that's definitely on me. But overall, they did a great job. The scenes with Mark and his mother, seeing them, they're not just, well, that happened last season, so she's fine and he's fine. They're still building off all the trauma from season one. Adam Eve, who Doug mentioned earlier, is as powerful as Dr. Manhattan. Showing some ignorance on her part. She doesn't know. She may have these powers, but she doesn't know how best to use them.
Yeah,
And
she's
bad
still a young
things
adult.
can-
She's still learning.
Yep. Bad things can happen. We got the Darkwing episode. We got the Atlanteans. We got Cecil with the moment when he wanted to know that frequency to hopefully use against Mark. So there was a lot of good in this episode. But overall, I think I'm going to have to go with like about a 6.5. While I did enjoy it, I guess I expected a little more. I've come to expect a little more out of this. And once again, this rating may change as we go through the season. If we see what they set up here builds to bigger and better things, then this episode did its job.
Live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.